anxiety, distress, that's the way that I get things done. From now to depression, gonna sleep too long, and I hang around like a bomb. I think I'm going nowhere, and that makes me nervous. Everybody's at the game, but I feel alright. Everybody's at the game, but I feel alright. Everybody's at the game, but I feel alright. Everybody's thinking about me, but I feel alright. Everybody's at the game, but I feel alright.
Look, I'm not saying that devil's advocacy is good, I'm just saying that if the devil wasn't a laugh, there wouldn't be so many people rushing to advocate for him. Loads and loads of people. Almost as many people as watch Tmartn's videos. He has so many subscribers, so let's advocate for him, shall we? And others, those pure good boys of YouTube who have done nothing wrong ever. About a year ago, we talked about Tmartn and ProSyndicate, two games media personalities with massive audiences who were thought to have done a naughty thing by telling their massive audiences, which are massive, all about CSGO Lotto, a website where you can earn real-life money by wagering on Counter-Strike loot boxes. Aside from further encouraging the disturbing emergence of glorified gambling in video games, the two highly popular and successful and popular men were in trouble for promoting a website they themselves were involved with while failing to disclose their affiliation. While Tmartn and ProSyndicate filmed themselves winning big prizes, big money on CSGO Lotto, they never mentioned to their young and impressionable, but most importantly huge and supportive audience, that they happened to be executives of CSGO Lotto. Well, a lot has happened in the time since that scandal broke, and by a lot I mean very little has happened. While the two video boys were pilloried in the immediate fallout, there were zero tangible consequences. They continued to be backed by their huge audiences, European gaming conventions still treat them as honoured guests, and the community at large, committed as it is to an almost frighteningly aggressive strain of apathy, eventually turned on those who continued talking about it, because if something lasts more than a week or has more than maybe 2 videos highlighting it, it's officially a dead horse and you should be more angry at the messenger than the people who actually did the things. Now, while you might expect me to be a little bit perplexed that Tmartn and ProSyndicate essentially got off scot-free, I'm actually incredibly fucking relieved. I'm relieved because it's been officially, objectively, incontrovertibly proven that Tmartn and ProSyndicate, contrary to their temporary reputations as charlatans and wankmongers, are 100% completely innocent of all charges. That's definitely what it means when the FTC investigates and doesn't punish anybody. It means those subject to the investigation were in the right, morally and ethically, and we should all be thankful. For those confused, the Federal Trade Commission has been looking at the notorious CSGO Lotto affair to find if laws were broken and recompense must be recompensated. Fortunately for our heroes, the lack of specific precedent within the specific realm of so-called social media influencers meant no punishment was forthcoming. However, the FTC has specified in future that these influencers must disclose their affiliations with the things they're promoting or otherwise face fines of up to nearly $41,000. Fines that neither Tmartn nor ProSyndicate will be paying, and thank God, because remember, they actually did nothing wrong. That's how it works. Definitely. Sure, they've encouraged gambling among their young audiences, which Tmartn would like to remind you is such a big audience and supportive too, thanks so much for the support. Yes, they have only helped popularise the micro-wager infection that spread its clammy tendrils across the mainstream game industry, and I guess you could say they've behaved like nasty pond scum both prior to and in the short aftermath of their scandal, but the FTC didn't do anything, and everybody else got bored of them, so they're officially good boys. And ultimately, I think by lingering on the lack of consequence, we're really getting away from the true message here, which is Tmartn is sorry for what he definitely didn't do, even if he did remove his apology video and even if he did do nothing wrong. Also, his audience is huge and supports him. Far be it from any of us to forget that crucial nugget of information. These boys, these pure-hearted boys too good for our sinful earth, are just innocent victims of a scenario designed to ensnare them. I mean, being given the opportunity to dupe your audience in exchange for vast sums of money, who wouldn't jump at the chance? I'm thinking of such poor scapegoats as Syndicate. Wait, Syndicate? I thought it was Oh, it's another one, a different one. Oh, alright. Syndicate, who accepted thousands of dollars to record himself winning big on steamlotto.org, while failing to tell his viewers they'd rigged the results to enhance the sales pitch. Now you tell me, oh moral guardians, who truly was in the wrong there? The gambling website simply trying to earn an honest dollar in today's economy? The YouTuber who is just making fun videos and has no responsibility to their audience? Or is it the fault of this jackass who couldn't play Cuphead? I know where I'd put my money if I hadn't just spent it all at steamlotto.org. I say these sweetlings have been punished enough. They got to feel uncomfortable for a couple of hours, and it's not like the FTC has let them go completely unscathed. It's a grueling and humiliating punishment enough that they must now adhere to the same disclosure standards most professionals mastered decades ago. Things like transparency, divulging critical information, not telling lies, things most of us obviously understand. But to be fair to Tmartn, he can't even remember that he owns the websites he promotes in his videos, so how the hell could he remember such complex and ethical minefields as not telling lies to children that trust him? I mean, come on! And can we please think of the children? The millions of children that have subscribed to Tmartn, making him so successful and famous. Thank you for all the support. Can we please think of how popular and supported Tmartn is? Finally! At last! He's sorry, by the way. He didn't really do anything wrong, of course, but he's sorry. Now, it would be remiss to exonerate our unsullied and virginal heroes of the hour without rightfully telling Greg Nepenthez Douglas to go F himself. Like Martin and Cindy, Nepenthez was also embroiled in a scandal that involved encouraging kids to gamble, but unlike them, he actually got in trouble for it. At least in Europe. This means he is the only one here to have genuinely done something wrong, and so he should be ostracised for it. He should also be ostrich-sized for it. I mean, literally reshaped to the proportions of an ostrich, but we don't have the tech for it. There's your injustice. Douglas and his associate paid a combined £265,000 for their criminal crimes, which means they earned 265,000 wrong points, a currency that converts dollars into wrongness to show you how wrong somebody is. But ultimately, that's just one isolated case of somebody doing something wrong, and most of the time these guys are doe-eyed lambs who couldn't possibly have an inkling that what they're doing isn't on the up and up. It's an easy mistake to make, to accept money in exchange for tricking kids into bankrupting their parents, and due to that lack of precedent within one explicit industry, there was simply no way of knowing. Just no way. Let they who are without an undisclosed sponsorship cast the first stone, says I, safe in the knowledge none of us shall fly rocks from our fingers this day. No, rather than criticise, shun or mock any of these poor misled YouTubers, we should instead be congratulating them. Well done on a hard-fought victory so complete you didn't actually do anything. Well done for proving that if you have millions of YouTube subscribers, you can get away with practically anything. Just keep doing whatever you like and be secure in the knowledge that any backlash you receive is temporary, immaterial, and completely for show. At least in America. Be a bit more careful in Europe if you're going to try and swindle your viewers, though you'll still get comped at conventions. Oh, and a final word of congratulations specifically to ProSyndicate, who unlike Tmartn was at least clever enough to keep his fucking head down, and thus we spared most of the sarcasm today. Tmartn has a really big audience. And now to talk about the other good boy who did. No, I can't even keep the sarcasm up for this one. I'm not even going to jokingly defend PewDiePie. Fucking hell. Okay, it's first thing Monday morning as I record this bit. The video was done, but then on Sunday, it turned out that PewDiePie just can't keep his fucking mouth shut. After already being in trouble for making jokes about the Holocaust, the face of YouTube, Jesus Christ, decided to start dropping racial slurs during a live stream. In what some are calling a heated moment, he said the N-word. I'm not going to say it here, and don't go throwing that, oh, he's doing self-censorship, he won't say it, bollocks at me. I'm not going to say it. Go say it on your own fucking time. While he's got plenty of devil's advocates, the point is, if you're dropping that on a live stream, if you've got that little self-control, and if that's the word you're going to immediately jump to, in front of an audience, a huge audience, huge like Tmartn's, I think it's time to accept that you are a fucking liability. It's because of shit like this that the adpocalypse is happening, where people's videos are being flagged as inappropriate for advertisers, because advertisers don't want anything to do with this shit. No matter how popular YouTube is, it's like professional wrestling. A lot of companies feel they're above it because it's for quote-unquote rednecks, so they don't pump money into a primetime slot. But then again, even WWE knows not to start dropping racial slurs in the middle of its broadcasts. At least now it does. YouTube is in an incredibly precarious predicament right now, and shit like this is just making it worse for everybody. PewDiePie is a liability for everybody in the industry, as evidenced by the fact that a game developer said they were going to DMCA one of PewDiePie's videos because they don't want their game associated with him. That, of course, has thrown up an entire different brand of rhetoric, where you can't call PewDiePie's condemnable act condemnable without someone chirping in, "Oh, so that means you support DMCA takedowns now? You support copyright strikes, do you?" No, I don't. In fact, the idea of this happening is a little bit worrying. Not because I think the developers of Firewatch are going to go around DMCAing anything they like, but imagine if PewDiePie takes this to court and loses, which he might because lawyers are coming out of the woodwork to say that his brand of Let's Plays are not protected by fair use, and there may very well be a case for taking the video and keeping it down. Right now, YouTube has always been in a grey area because there's no precedent set in court, and nobody really wants to be the one to roll the dice on setting that precedent. I remember back when Digital Homicide had sued me and tried to take me to court, there was a lot of pressure not to fuck that up. Me, relatively small time compared to the likes of PewDiePie, got manoeuvred into a situation where I could have set the bar for everyone, PewDiePie included, because guess what, folks? Nothing we do occurs in a bubble, and everything you do, unlike the sarcasm earlier in the video, has consequences, even if they're not for you. It's easy to feel isolated and solo on YouTube. You have your own channel, you deal with that, you don't necessarily worry about anybody else, but we all share the same ecosystem. We're all playing in the same garden. All of us making videos have been affected by the adpocalypse if we're running some ad-supported work. A lot of it for stuff that is relatively tame because of course YouTube's automating this shit. And that's because, again, there are a bunch of problem channels, drama channels, harassment channels, channels dedicated to racism. And then you get big figureheads like PewDiePie getting repeatedly in trouble for acting like a complete fucking arsehead, and you start to be surprised that someone hasn't stepped in and tried to regulate this shit sooner, because that's where it's going. YouTube is clearly starting to think of itself like some sort of broadcast network, but it's really not behaving like one in the ways that matter. It would rather let robots do all of the hard work. It would rather not look like a bad guy and take out channels that are actually causing the problems. It doesn't look after the hardworking creators that are making it money. It's only trying to please advertisers, but at the same time it's still letting anything go up like it's running a 2-bit circus. Now, I know what you're going to say next, at least some of you. You're going to go, where do we draw the line? At what point does the slope get slippery? Who decides what is suitable and what is unsuitable? Fact of the matter is, I don't know. All I know is, this is how things looked before the ESRB had to step in for the game industry. And even then, it didn't keep politicians and lawmakers off of the game industry's back. Up until the mid-2000s, they were still gunning for video games, trying to regulate them and restrict them. And I worry that's coming for YouTube, and I worry it's going to be the fault of people like PewDiePie who keep getting attention for doing shit like this. That is the thing about free speech, by the way, that people forget. Free speech does not mean it's consequenceless. It doesn't mean you get to say what you want and never feel the effects of it. Free speech comes with responsibilities. You can say what you want, absolutely. You won't get put in the prison for it, but it can have an effect, a wide-reaching effect. And when you're as big as PewDiePie, it can disrupt a lot of lives, whether you intend it to or not. And that's all I'll say on that. Like I said, this was off the cuff because this is last minute, but I couldn't do an episode where I'm bagging on YouTubers for a laugh and not bring this up because people will think I did that on purpose, even though it was a time issue. I mean, it's just typical, isn't it? You make a video that you think is really good, you think your work's done, you think it's in the bag, and then somebody decides to be racist. What the two situations have in common, though, is young men being very, very reckless in front of their audiences, getting in trouble for it, and drawing mainstream eyes to them, which is going to affect everybody making content on YouTube. I have little doubt left in my mind that regulation is coming to YouTube, and Google itself should be shoring itself up for that. The severity of the regulation is likely going to be determined by the worst actors on YouTube. And we're talking about YouTube. So that's how fucked it's gonna get. You think the adpocalypse is bad. If this continues unabated, then there's going to be all sorts of something apocalypses. So look forward to that. Thank God for me. And fucking hell, can you just not? Can you just not? Fuck it!